Eggs!
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Philip Smith, and I'm the police chief here in Roswell. Today I want to provide some information about the Roswell Police Department and what we believe in. We do not believe in arresting our way out of problems here in the city. We believe in community policing. What exactly is community policing? It's an ideology, it's a program, but most importantly, it's a service delivery. Community policing is a problem solving in a proactive fashion in partnership with the community. Crime is everyone's responsibility, and community policing opens lines of communication through non-law enforcement interaction. We believe that addiction is not a crime. It's a sickness and is treated as such. We believe mental illness is not a crime. It is also a sickness and treated as such. As a matter of fact, people who suffer from mental illness are also victims. We believe as an organization we are committed to outreach, partnerships, and guardianship. We believe as individuals we hire, develop, and entrust in those who have character and are competent and possess the agency vision. Our vision, the Roswell Police Department, strives to provide to our city a user-friendly and safe environment through priority policing strategies. We emphasize integrity, respect, and community partnerships. We enjoy as an agency being held to a higher standard of accountability because we are proud to have earned this standard through continued professionalism and excellence. Thank you and be safe, and help others to be safe.
Yeah, I'm Officer Cody Schwartz with the Roswell Police Department. I'm also a canine handler assigned to the canine unit. I started my canine career in Georgia. I certified my first dog in 2015. I laterally transferred to the Roswell Police Department in 2020 in April, and since then I've been assigned to the canine unit. Our unit consists of 3 handlers, myself, Ashley Wood, and Sky Wentland. And then we have a sergeant, Jeff Prince, who also has a dog. And then we have a Lieutenant Chris Bradley, who oversees all of operations in the unit. So our dogs are with us 24/7. They go home with us at the end of the shift. They stay with us all the time. And most of the time, they end up becoming a part of our family. So our typical day together is we wake up just like any other day. I get ready for work. The other handlers, they get ready for work, and then we'll put our collars on our dogs, which is basically like putting their uniform on. We'll get in the car and we'll go to work. Our dogs are with us all day long. It's just like having a partner ride with you. And throughout the day, we look to utilize our dogs. We'll stop cars, try to seize any narcotics we can. Throughout the day, we try to break it up to where our dogs have a break too. We'll get them out of the car and we'll go play fetch with them. We'll let them have a break outside of the car, and we'll just take them to the park and play with them throughout the day, just to break up some of that monotony. And that's usually how a typical day in our lives go. So our main function on the unit is, of course, to seize illegal drugs off the street. And the easiest way and the most common way that we do that is through traffic stops. When we stop a car in the state of New Mexico, we have to obtain reasonable suspicion that something illegal is going on in the car. Similar to today, we stopped a car, walked up to the driver, noticed some paraphernalia indicative of drug use inside the vehicle. I asked the driver to step out, walked back to my car. At that point, I deployed my canine to do a free and open air sniff of the exterior of the vehicle. We started at the passenger headlight, worked counterclockwise. When we do that, us as handlers, we look for 3 things. We want to look for a body posture change in the dog, a breathing change, and then a final alert. And as we were going around the car, my dog gave a body posture change near the driver door, started barking. We continued to work around the car, and she gave a final alert, which is a sit near the rear hatch of the car. At that point, the occupants or the driver of the vehicle have 2 options. They can either consent to a search of their vehicle on scene, or the next route is we seize the vehicle and petition the courts for a search warrant. And if the search warrant is approved, then we search the vehicle. So we're the only unit in the Roswell Police Department that has to train and recertify with a 100% success rate every year. So in order to do that, we train every week at least 8 to 10 hours a week. That helps us keep our certifications and to ensure that our dogs are doing what they're supposed to be doing and that we can certify every year with a 100% success rate. So some other benefits is our dogs are tracking dogs also, so we're not always criminal based. We will search for missing children, missing elderly. Our dogs are also tasked with finding people, not necessarily always criminals. So it benefits the community in finding a lost loved one, which happens pretty regular here in town. So that's another facet of our dogs that aren't necessarily in a bad light that benefits the community in a whole. So our main goal as a canine unit is to benefit the citizens of Roswell. And we do that by removing drugs and criminals off the street. We also assist in finding lost loved ones. I'm Cody Schwartz. I'm an officer with the Roswell Police Department. I'm also a canine handler assigned to the canine unit.
If I had to let the public know one thing, I would want them to know that we are the first responders.
I feel a lot of people don't really know what we do and how important our role is in emergency situations.
It's mentally taxing, it's emotionally exhausting, but nothing compares to it.
It's hard, but it's very rewarding, fulfilling. Doing different things every day, even though it may seem the same, it's always going to be a little bit different.
You reward yourself by getting the public the fastest help you can, or helping them in the ways that they need.
It's the sense of actually helping my community and being able to be that person that someone calls for help.
When I get a lot of calls involving children, it's really emotional, but it's rewarding at the same time that I'm helping a parent when they're calling on their worst day.
There are many challenges with dispatch. Some of it is the types of calls that you get. They can tug at your heartstrings, but at the same time, there's a bit of reward in knowing that you possibly got somebody the help that they needed.
We get all kinds of calls all the time from young people calling for their parents, people translating for their parents, and then elderly, like we get all different kinds. And then there was that one person you actually helped with either sending them somebody or whatever you had to tell them.
At the end of the day, you get to go home knowing that you helped somebody. It's not every day, but for the most part, you made a difference in somebody's life out there.
One thing I would like to let everyone know is how hard these dispatchers work. The long hours that they put in, the tireless, constant on the phone. Somebody could be doing CPR while also handling a vehicle pursuit. These people are constantly busy.
My name is Terry Best. I'm the dispatch director, and I've been here a little over a year.
My name is Allison Herring, and I've been a dispatcher for 21 years.
I am Jennifer Garcia. I am the Quality Assurance Coordinator, NCI CTAC. I've been with dispatch for 20 years for the city.
My name is Alfredo Delgado. I'm the training coordinator for the 911 Center here in Chavez County.
My name is Raylan Villarreal. I've been here for 7 years. I'm an emergency dispatch supervisor.
Joseph Dominguez, dispatch supervisor, with about 5.5 years of service.
My name is Kelly McKenna. I'm a 911 dispatch supervisor. I've been here for 13 years.
My name is Melina Martinez and I'm a dispatcher, and I've been here about 3 years.
My name's Gabriella. I've been a dispatcher for 3 years.
Jessica Feliciano, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for 2 years.
My name is Antoinette Job. I've been here almost 6 years, and I'm a 911 dispatcher.
My name is Robbie Romero. I'm a 911 dispatcher. I've been here about 6 years.
Good evening, and welcome to our virtual public forum. Today we're focusing on Ward 4, but I have some other guests with me as well too. We'll introduce them here in a second. Don't forget to like, share, and interact with our post to let us know you're watching. Place any questions you would like answered in the comments section. And let me introduce my guests here, and then we will go into the questions that we have received earlier than that. But we have Councilor Savino Sanchez from Ward 4. Councilor Sanchez was elected into office last year, and so his term will run through 2024.
Yes.
So, and this is you've been on the council for a little while.
Yes.
So, next, now Councilor Sanchez is Allison Herring, Operations Coordinator for the Pecos Valley Dispatch Center. If you have not seen our post out there, it is Dispatcher Appreciation Week. And so we'll be talking to Allison about everything going on with dispatch. I believe there's actually some jobs available too.
Yes,
so
we do.
all right. Louis Nahar, our engineer, chief engineer, handles infrastructure and engineering. Because I know that some of the questions we have are related to streets. And so I'm sure that Louis will be able to bring us up to date on that. And we have Kevin Mavers, our new Community Development Director. As of, how long have you been with us, Kevin?
I think I've been here a grand total of about 7 weeks now.
Okay, 7 weeks, but he told me it feels like forever. But we'll talk a little bit about what's happening in the community development arena as well too, and what your plans are in order to bring some of that around there. But let's get started, and I think this is probably a good one for our engineer. You know, what are some of the ongoing projects that are in Ward 4, or even over in that neck of the woods? What do we have going on for that?
Well, in Ward 4, we're wrapping up with what we call the pavement maintenance projects. We did some hot recycling and some microsurfacing on South Union from 2nd Street all the way to Hobbs, which encompasses a couple of wards. And we also did some on West Pole from Main to Sunset. And we completed the hot recycling and the microsurfacing. We've already put the temporary tabs for the striping. We're waiting for May 3rd, the week of May 3rd, to come in and do the final striping. We also have the Lee Deming Bridge replacement going on.
Sure.
And that one, thank you legislatures for funding that one. Legislatures gave us $800,000 worth of money 2 years ago. We got it designed and we got it bid. We're hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be paving the street portion of it on the north side, which is Lee and Deming, and we'll start removal of the bridge in a couple of weeks. But that one's going on, and we're just thrilled to have some money from legislature.
Louis, I'd like to know a little bit more. You mentioned the term hot recycle. Can you tell me a little bit about what that process is?
Well, the hot recycle, and everybody, if you pass by there, we actually superheat the pavement, and we scarify it, and then we relay it back down. And that's just a pavement rehab. Then we come back with the microsurfacing, which is about 5/8 inch thick of surfacing. And the reason we do it, when you superheat something, you're going to burn some of the asphalt emulsion out. And we do inject some emulsion, but we also want to put a cape on top of it with the microsurfacing to help seal it. And what that does with that 1-2 punch of that, it adds about 10 years to our service life and the service life of the roads.
And how long have we been doing the hot recycle?
The hot recycling, we started again in 2016. We had been doing a previous type in the early 2000s, and then we stopped due to funding and political direction that we were headed. And now we're back to hot recycling, which I think is a very effective way to do it.
Sure.
And with the microsurfacing, of course, under your leadership, you've let us bring it back.
And you also have a system out there called mill and fill.
The mill and fill is probably what everybody's familiar with that they've seen on Main Street, where you would go in there and mill 3 inches down and then fill it with 3 inches of new pavement. Not what we just finished up in North Main this week, which was called the Nova Chip, where we went in there, we just milled about a 1/2 inch off of some bad areas, and we just put what we call a riding course on top of it, which is 1 inch thick, and that will also extend the service life.
And I think the easiest way I have to distinguish what we're doing with mill and fill and hot recycle is because hot recycle is a one-step process. Essentially, it looks like a train of trucks.
It's a train of trucks. You have 3 heaters that superheat the pavement, which literally superheats it and almost melts the asphalt. We have a scarifier, which is just a big rake that rakes it all up. Then you have the lay-down machine that mixes it and puts it back down. Then you have the rollers that you would see in traditional paving that would pound it and flatten it out.
Okay.
And you'll know it because of the big train of the hot recycle train. Plus, you'll see some smoke coming up as we superheat the pavement. And
all right. And I know we're getting ready to go into the budget cycle for all of the city funding and everything. And I believe that the direction from City Council has been to try to find as much funding as possible to do more roads. And I think that was the one thing we did with our citizen surveys, is that when we've asked for everybody to share what their biggest concerns are, the condition of our roads actually ranked higher than crime, even within the city. And so it was, I think we're trying to move that number up. I know we had done an inventory and an inspection plan to try to figure out what do we need to invest in the roads, and it's somewhere, if we were to do it completely right, it'd be like $16 million a year.
that is correct, $60 million a year.
Yeah, and we're right down around, I think for this year, because you were able to add some projects in within the middle of the year, we're right around $9 million for that. I think we're hoping to present a budget to the City Council of about $13 million if we can get there. And so I think that'll be the thing that we're going to push for really hard. I think if you've been driving up and down any of the streets in the last couple of months, we're putting down a lot of blacktop, and we're buying time within those streets so that the failures within the streets are minimized, and so we can go in there. So we're hoping to stay on with that. I know we've got some legislative dollars coming in for different projects and everything, so we're going to keep going with that. Let me step over to Allison here and talk just a little bit about the dispatch. It is Dispatcher Appreciation Week, and for those of you that don't know what they go through, I'm going to ask Allison to kind of explain that. But they're the unsung heroes in public safety. You have to be there continuously, and you have to manage these calls that come through, and you dispatch out, and it's actually even bigger than Roswell. You're dispatching out everybody within Chavez County. Tell us a little bit about your.
So we dispatch for the Roswell Police Department, the Roswell Fire Department, Chavez County Sheriff's Department. We have Dexter, Hagerman, Lake Arthur, and then all of the volunteer fire departments within the county. We man our consoles 24/7, 7 days a week, so there's always somebody there. Yep. We take all the 911 calls for the county and also answer admin lines when the police department front desk or the sheriff's department front desk is not there.
And I think the one thing that I will tell everybody, if you've never had to call 911, praise God for that. Absolutely. But if you do, you're going to be talking to some really good people that will help you walk through that as we're trying to get help to you. And so I know that we're always looking for extra help, so I want to put a plug in for that. I know you guys are doing great with the people that you have, but there's room for more, isn't there?
We currently have 7 open positions.
Okay.
We're city employees, so we have city benefits, health, medical, dental. We have retirement. We're one of the top paying dispatch centers within the state. So,
what are the qualifications you have to have for that?
Honestly, you just have to be 18 years of age, no criminal record. You have to have a clean driving record. We require 35 words a minute for typing test, and then we also have a dispatching test that you have to pass.
Awesome. And they can find those jobs out there on the website, the City of Roswell website right now. So if you have an interest in that, or you know of somebody that's willing to help us with that, that would be fantastic. I'm going to go to a couple questions on the board. I can see that why doesn't the city invest in red light cameras at busy intersections? I think one of the things that I will state about that, because I'll try to cover that a little bit, because I know that back in 2005, New Mexico went through a big push on the red light cameras. And again, if you don't know what a red light camera is that those are the cameras at the intersection to try to stop people from running the light. And so the cameras pick you up if you do not stop at the intersection. Albuquerque had a bunch of them, and they ran into a problem. I think they ended up having to write off quite a bit of debt of uncollected bills for that. I think the challenge comes with that is the constitutional rights within how to utilize that, because you're actually getting the information based upon the vehicle, not the information based upon the driver at that time. And I think that's the challenge we have with that, is trying to get there. If you know of any intersections that are being run more often than not, all you need to do is call the non-emergency number to, actually you can call the police department or even dispatch at a non-emergency number, and they will direct that call accordingly. You'll get a call back from our police department, and they've generally been out there very quickly to set up additional runs to watch what's happening out there. So if you know of those intersections that are not working really well, please let us know about that, and we will address it accordingly.
May I add to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to add to the citizens out there, if you're the first in line at any intersection, please, when the light turns green, wait about a second and a half to make sure the intersection clears. Your defensive driving, even though it wouldn't be your fault, it would still be damage to your vehicle, possibly to your injuries to your passengers. But if you're first in line in queue at an intersection, always wait about a second and a half, make sure that one person is trying to run a red light. Let him clear, and it's for your own safety and the safety of your passengers.
Yeah, I don't think anybody intends to run a red light. They usually want to run an orange one, right? And so, but it is, and I think that's the good defensive driving tactic as well too. Stop, look both ways again. Correct. Before you head out into there. That goes for the four-way stops as well too. Make sure that you're there. I know we have some intersections that are even two-way stops that people don't pay as close attention to the signs and everything, and so be aware of that. I will say that for those watching, please make sure you send us any questions, any comments that you would like addressed, and we'll just keep on with all these conversations. I'm going to do one more question off the board, and then we're going to introduce Kevin Mavers. But Lewis, this one is a really good one for you. And so why are potholes in roadways not being corrected before the asphalt is laid on by the road crew?
Typically, they should be corrected before we do that. In the case of like North Main, we did not fix some of those holes before we went in there because we milled out the bad areas. So if we milled out the bad areas, it just didn't get caught. But as a rule, we try to fix all the potholes before we do any kind of operation, especially if we get money to start doing the residential streets, and all we're going to do is microsurfacing. We have crews and we have our own crack sealing. So if you see the guys out there filling the cracks and doing the potholes, that's what we like to do before we go in there and we overlay or put in a microsurface.
Now, I'll say it a different way too, because I think I understand this as well too, is that if the potholes are not too deep, there's nothing wrong when we mill off the top, the pothole actually disappears.
Correct.
If the pothole's too deep, those are the ones that we need to dig out and replace, because I think the worst thing for a street is when the foundational rock is impacted as well with that water. And so that, I think that answers that pretty well, that it depends on the pothole. I will, and I've said this before and I will say it again, that potholes to me are traffic calming. Every time we fix the street and it's good for driving, everybody speeds up a little bit. And so I guess we'll deal with both issues as we go through that, but I like potholes because it slows you down. But we will fix those streets. Kevin, been here 7 weeks. You are our community development director. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the departments underneath your purview, and a little bit more about where you're going. I'll have a couple questions for you.
I'm sure you will. Anyway, thank you very much, Joe. And I want to let all the viewers know what a pleasure and what a joy it is to join the team with the City of Roswell. I have worked with a lot of communities and with a lot of developers, a lot of builders, for the private sector and the public sector over my career, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be right here with the City of Roswell. But our team in community development, the thing you need to know about community development is if we break the word down, community, it is about the entire community, the people that work with me, and then development. How do we make Roswell the best Roswell it can be? And we do that in multiple ways. The departments that are in community development, we start out with planning and zoning. So we're looking into the future. What kind of Roswell do we want to build? What kind of Roswell do we want to have? Then we have our building department. These are the guys that work with the builders and the developers, the contractors. They work to build a better Roswell. And then, of course, we have our code enforcement people. They're the ones who make sure that we maintain a good Roswell, that everybody are following the rules, and that we can continue to move forward in a manner that is consistent with federal, state, and local ordinances. So it's a great department to work in. We also have a real estate department as well. Business license also falls under my purview. So it really is, we hope it's going to be in the very near future, truly a one-stop shop to help Roswell become the best Roswell it can be.
I know we're out there looking for a space that we can put all these departments underneath one roof, so that if anybody has any business development needs or any needs at all, even residential, they can come in and they can get their answers very quickly. I think the old adage within business is time is money.
Yes.
And so we want to help these individuals that are trying to provide services to the city move as quickly as possible. I know, and I'm gonna put you on a little bit of a spot, because I think it'll make some of our long-term viewers happy with that. Talk a little bit about your plans to bring back this development windshield. To put out there what kind of permits we've received, what kind of things are coming. Talk a little bit about that, because you're the one that brought it up again, and we've not done it for a number of years.
Okay. One of the things that I'm seeing is that there is a perception, both in the public and in the private sector, that there's not a lot going on in the city of Roswell. And I can tell you, just in my 7 weeks, I have seen more activity coming through our front doors, more activity, people asking about projects, more projects being turned in than we've probably seen in a number of years. And I want to make sure that that information is available to everybody, from the city council to our staff to the people that live here in town, so that they know what's coming online. There is so much going on. I know that there were some questions about what's happening in Ward 4, and Lewis spoke very eloquently about what's going on, some of the projects, but we have projects going on all across the city. Just the possibility of addressing our residential housing needs right now. We have got projects from the very large executive type homes all the way down to and including workforce housing. So, and across the board, everything in between is in the process, and you're going to be seeing a lot of activity, especially in the housing sector over the next few months.
Yeah. I know one of the challenges that we have, and we talk about it quite a bit, the city gets built out as a north or a south or an east or a west. The challenge that I've always had to try to explain how that development occurs, the north is not fully developed out. So there's more what I would call a greenfield development. And so that's new buildings going up in areas that there was nothing ever before. What happens a lot on the south side, and I will mention the Ashley Furniture Store that went into the old Sears building, the Big R, the Dion's Pizza Place. These are all what I call infill or redevelopment opportunities, and so they're hidden a little bit more, but it is happening all the way up and down. I know that we're getting ready, the hangar project down at the Air Center has been moving on. That's been talked about by the governor as well too, and it looks like that one's going to come to fruition, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that that is all going to come about. That will generate potentially about 350 jobs over the next 5 years in the city. And I think that's the one thing that we look at as we try to develop out business partners to help us. We want to make sure that what they're providing into the city is going to bring us along that way. And
that's one of the things I would like to extend an invitation to anybody out there that wants to talk about bringing a new business, updating a business. You spoke very well about the possibility. We have new business or greenfield development. We have brownfield development, which is a reuse or a revitalization type of project. But we also have what's called adaptive reuse. And this is where we take an existing facility that only needs minor modification and we adapt it to utilize that building and that structure, that parking lot and everything else to, again, revitalize, to bring life back to an area. And if I had to guess right now today, we are seeing more of that adaptive reuse. We're seeing more of that revitalization happening in the south half of town than we are in the north half of town.
You know, and I'll cover just a little bit more of that, and then we'll go on to another topic. But one of the things that the City Council did last year was to implement, with the partnership with the Roswell-Chaves County Economic Development Corporation, we implemented a program, an opportunity advancement program. One of the biggest challenges we have with this adaptive reuse is fire suppression and ADA accessibility. Those are the two biggest expenses that are out there for that. What the City Council has done at that point in time, they established a program out there, and they provided $150,000 of seed money. I think we'll be talking about trying to put some more money into that because of the COVID, how COVID hit us so hard. We want to try to make sure that everybody can get back on their feet, get back out there doing what they need to be doing, making their living, making the services for the city so that we have a place that we can live and be proud of. And so, let's see, there's a comment from Angie on Instagram. Thank you. The city had so much going on. 2020 was a nice break. You know, and I think that in the mechanics of a city, you're either doing one of the things. You're either implementing what you planned on, or you're planning for what you're going to implement. And I think that those are the two things that us as staff and as city council, we want to make sure that we keep those things moving. And I'm gonna go to another question on the board. Is from concern from Ward 4 with Ward 4. What do we do to increase voter turnout? You know, that is a very difficult question, and I'll answer it my way, and if we want anybody to pick up on that as well too. I think the challenge is that getting people out to vote, getting them to care about what the situations are. You know, and it's really funny at the city council meeting, if we talk about raising taxes, we can fill the room with a lot of different people, and because taxes are not always a good thing. But what we want to do is we want to make sure, and I think the city councilors, they really enjoy when people are reaching out to them and talking to them about their issues. Not everybody always agrees with those issues, but the council, every one of them out there will talk with you about what your issues are. And I think that's the fascinating thing about having 10 city councilors, 5 wards, an elected mayor, is that every one of our elected officials will try to do that. So when we go back to the voting is a way that the common person, the individuals out there, the residents out there, have their voices heard the first time. Now, once the election is over and the decision's been made, your job doesn't stop. Your job becomes more important to make sure that you're feeding information to those elected officials about what's important. And I think that's the one thing. We have the entire city broken up into 5 different wards, but I don't know of one city councilor out there that doesn't look at the city as a whole in their decision making, because all of our finances operate as a whole, a city as a whole. So when we talk about projects, there may not be many projects in a Ward 4 or Ward 2 that year, but there may be 3 or 4 of them after that. And so Ward 5, and so we go all the way through that. I know that Lewis spends a lot of time making sure that he spreads those projects out there, because we have a lot. How many miles of streets do we have?
317 center line miles.
317 center miles of streets, and you don't really want to know what it would cost to maintain that all the way through there. But you know, I mean, we talk about it a lot with that. Question from on Facebook. Why not put some more stores in the mall like it was back in the 90s and 2000s? You know, that is something that we looked at very carefully as to how that can happen. Roswell itself as a city cannot put business out there because it is privately owned, the mall. So there's a lot of mechanics that go through that. I think they, you know, the new stores that are out there, they've been very successful with what they've put out there recently. I think that we've talked with the mall owners about trying to find ways to help get more business to happen faster. We did a retail trade study, I think 2 years ago, and within that retail trade study, the challenge we have is that it's finding those businesses that are willing to come, and that's why I would say that the census is going to be very important. When we hit 50,000 population, we're hoping that we happen this year, that puts us into a different type of market, for lack of a better term. And if we can hit that mark there, because I guess I'll use the one example. I'd love to have a Cracker Barrel in town. Cracker Barrel generally will build along an interstate, but I've seen Cracker Barrels out there in different areas, but they base it on the critical mass of population in an area. And so Roswell has the benefit of being a retail trade hub for the region. I mean, a lot of people come here to shop, but trying to make this stuff happen before everything lines up, Again, all the numbers have to work, and that's part of Kevin and Lewis's job as well too, is to help make sure they understand Roswell to that whole, so that they can make the best possible decision. I'll guarantee you that any business that wants to start up in Roswell will be successful. It needs to be, and it's and we're willing to provide a lot of help, whether it be through our partners with the chambers, the Roswell Chamber, the Hispano Chamber, the Economic Development Corporation is out there to help you, so that those entrepreneurs that are just new to the field, they don't make those mistakes that because I think most businesses die within the first 5 years of their inception, and so the idea is to try to give them that time. So I got another question here. What is a non-emergency phone number citizens can call with concerns?
You can always call us at 575-624-7590.
And that number was?
575-624-7590. And that's, again, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week number.
You guys are there constantly, and
Yes, sir.
And we really want to make sure that you call that number. Just call. That's the big thing, and we'll make sure that gets directed the right way for where we need to go with that. Okay, we've got a question coming up on the board. When will the census numbers be published? You know, and it's really challenging for the city council this year, because after the census is published, we have until the end of that year to redistrict. And so we'll be going through a redistricting, which means that we have to look at every one of our wards and make sure that our population is divided equally, our special classes are divided as equally as possible. And so we'll be going through that. That has to be done by the end of the year. Our concern is that with what we're hearing from Congress and what we're hearing from the White House is that they don't believe that information will be in our hands until about September of this year. And so it's going to be really quite, usually it comes a little bit earlier, but I think the confusion about what we were going to include in the census and the documentation of all of that stuff has drug it out a little bit longer for them to do that work. So we'll be looking at those numbers. I think there'll be some preliminary numbers out before September, but I think September will be where we're actually going to get the numbers and know where all of our population is out in those census delineated areas and try to get there. Question from Facebook, what about bringing more things for teenagers to do? Happy to do that. I'm going to put a plug out there for Area 52, laser tag, a lot of different work out there for them. We have the recreation center, the gymnasiums, the pool. There's a lot of people that are utilizing that out of Cielo Grande, but we have room for more. I think those are the big things that are happening. We have the new splash pad going in over in Carpenter Park. And so that came out of legislative dollars from Senator Pirtle. And so that is getting built out in Carpenter Park. So if you go down Southeast Main, right across from the courthouse, or the county offices.
County administrative
offices. So.
And if you don't know where Area 52 is, it's on Tilden, just west of Union.
Yep. And if you look out there, I mean, we have a lot of businesses downtown. I'll put a plug out there for Spaceport Roswell. That whole area there, we have the Blue Light event over across the road from that as well too. A lot of different things for teenagers to do. I think that the one thing that we hope to get done with is going back into more sports as well too for that class of individual. Those kids, young ones all the way up through the adults, to try to get more out there. We are looking that I think we're reaching our max for how many people we can put on the fields we currently have. So we're talking about adding more. And I know that was one of the legislative projects.
That was for the baseball fields there at Cielo Grande. Looking at planning for an 8-field baseball complex. In essence, what it would do, it would be the playing fields for the two Little League that we have here in town. We used to have 3. We're down to Nunop and Lyons Hondo, but trying to combine those together. The other thing I want to add about the teens and maybe the tweens, the Boys Club project, we're finishing that up. We're going to have a ribbon cutting April 26th, and then the Boys and Girls Club will be moving back in, but they plan to have new programs. We redid the gym floor, we did the lighting. repainted everything, gave it a great facelift, restriped the parking lot, overlay on the parking lot. So the Boys and Girls Club hopefully will become a player again for some of the young youth.
Yeah. And that was a much needed renovation of that building, and we're lucky that we got it done when we did. And we want to make sure that everybody enjoys that. We have a question from Facebook. With our airport, railroad, and mail depot on Brasher, what manufacturing businesses are being looked at? I will tell you that on the corner of Southeast Main and Brasher, within the next 30 to 60 days, you will see that property on that corner have some construction on it. I won't talk about what they are because, again, we're sworn to secrecy, as sometimes we're not allowed to really talk about who they are until they're ready to talk about it. But we have a big business that'll be going into that lot that is at Brasher and Southeast Main, just south of the cemetery. So that'll be a really good one. That expansion will do them some good. I believe it increases some jobs as well too. We actually have a couple businesses going out near the Air Center as well too. We have the up in the north corner off of on the east side of the tracks. We have land out there that is being identified as a certified park through Excel Energy, and we're working with Burlington Northern Railroad as well too. We already have one business that's going into the old cookie factory. Again, I'm not allowed to say their name yet, but I know that it's going to generate more jobs. That'll be actually on the council agenda coming up here really soon, and so that'll be a good one. I mentioned the hangar project out there. We want to see more development out on Brasher. We've had tire kickers that have been looking at that as well too. So we've been going pretty well for that. Got a comment from a citizen. Keep Roswell Beautiful is looking for volunteers to conduct cleanups in vacant lots in all wards. Citizens can also submit a cleanup form to have any public land cleaned up. So, Keep Roswell Beautiful. We also have Keep Chaves County Beautiful out there. We've got both of those entities out there. These are volunteer groups that are working on trying to get everything cleaned up. They need your help as well too. We are always looking for volunteers. We appreciate every one of them that does come out and help us with all of this kind of work. Well, you get a lot of thank yous, you get hugs. I'll guarantee you that it'll take care of some of that. So, but Keep Roswell Beautiful is focused on trying to get these empty lots picked up with the trash bags. Those plastic bags seem to grow out of nowhere, and so we're going to try to get that done. And don't forget to join Keep Roswell Beautiful this Saturday for a seedling giveaway from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that's part of our Tree City USA status. And I will say that I believe that Roswell is the oldest tree city in New Mexico.
That is correct.
And so you know a little bit about that as well too.
Plus, we'll also be giving away some bird feeders while they last for the early birds there getting the trees.
Okay, so the early birds that come out for the trees at the seedling giveaway, we have bird feeders as well too. That's correct. Awesome. And so that will be at Cielo Grande, 9 a.m. to 11. So come on out. It is all drive-through to make sure that we have everybody safe and taken care of. Make sure that if you have any questions, put them out there. Otherwise, you get me to ramble, or I'll just come around the list and actually ask you guys more questions and everything. But just let me know a little bit more about what you want to hear from. And I think one of the things that I will bring up at this point in time before I put you guys on the spot again is that we're going into the budget cycle. And I believe that we do two things that we have to do every year. We do a budget every year, and it has to be in place for the July 1st through the June 30th. That's our fiscal year. And then we do an annual report on the backside of that thing. So I always look at the budget as saying, here's how we're going to spend your money. And we try to make sure that that money gets stretched as far as we can, take care of all of these needs. We believe that every service we're providing is a good service. We want to make sure it's all out there. And then we come back around with our justification saying, here's how we spent your money in the annual report. COVID was a very challenging year for all of us. We ended up cutting that budget by $31 million and 101 jobs. And we had about 46 of them were done through voluntary severance. and the rest of them were open jobs that we had not been able to fill yet. And what I really like about what's happening for this year is that we have 38 full-time jobs coming back in for this budget cycle, a bunch of part-time and a bunch of seasonal temporary jobs as well too. We are planning a job fair within the city of Roswell to recognize all of those jobs, to try to bring everybody on board as soon as we can, because we are trying to get the city open back up 7 days a week, and it takes people in order to provide those services that we have. So I think that is one of the big things I will say, is that we intend to have a job fair. I will say that within that, and if any of you have ever applied for the city, it takes a little while to run through all the background checks, all the information that's required. What we intend to do on that job fair day is same day offer. We're going to provide an offer to everybody that we can hire in order to take on a job out there. The only reason we call it a same day offer rather than a same day acceptance is that the background check takes 24 hours in order to get done with it. Question from Facebook: why not one big high school? And I will tell you that, and again, I'll speak for Councilor Sanchez. He's a true believer that the spirit of a community is tied around the high schools, or tied around schools at all. And so I think he's been a proponent more often than not that one high school makes a lot of sense, so that we can all champion behind it. That doesn't mean that the two high school systems do not work. I mean, they do work, but I think the big challenge that he wants to have, or what you were talking about, I think about 3 years ago, is that we need, it creates community spirit when everybody can get behind that. The Roswell Goddard games are fantastic. It's a good city rivalry. But I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure. And again, the city can't do that. It is actually up to the school board. It's up to the school system and everything. I got a really good one. How do I apply for mayor? I will tell you that the mayor's position is up next year. Our elections will be in April. As we get closer to the end of the year, you can start applying for these elected positions as of January 3rd, I believe. And so it's the first part of January. Essentially, they open it up. You need to do your petitions. You need to do all that information, and all you do is you put it in there. If you look at the, I think it's the state statute that will have whatever criteria. It's for mayor. The big thing about the mayor is to have somebody that really cares about the community, is a good cheerleader, a good coach, and all that piece. And really, that mayor's job is to assist the 10 city councilors with operation of the city council meetings. Just keep that going. Our current mayor has a tendency to say, "I don't have a vote." So the mayor doesn't veto or anything. He can break a tie. The mayor, he or she, can break a tie for that. But as of January, if you want to know more about that, just contact the city clerk's office for more. Sharon Call, Stephanie will be able to provide you with a lot of that information. Another few questions from Facebook. Is the UFO festival being held downtown? I'm here to say yes, it will, along with the rest of the city. We are intending to put a lot of functions. We're going to spread it out a little bit farther than where it was. We have a lot of information out there already on Facebook and everything on the UFO festival. A lot of the stuff will be here on this campus with the convention center and the museum. We're going to be taking up the overflow parking lot. But we will also have, and this is what's really cool to me, is we have Main Street Roswell, and they're still doing all of their activities downtown as well too. So they're doing their passport program to bring people into the stores. We're going to still have all those neat things. I think some of the neat ones that I've heard about is that we're actually opening up the rec center for a teen night. We go back to the teen issue as well too, and so there's a lot of different things happening. It will be, it'll be throughout the entire town. We're hoping to do some of the events out at the Air Center. We're hoping to do events over on West 2nd and all the way up at the mall again as well too. I think that the couple years that they moved Galacticon up to the mall was a nice thing to kind of incorporate more of that. Last question. Is there anything the city can do about houses in disrepair? And I have a house on Carver Street that is empty and the roof is mostly gone. It has been that way for at least 2 years. We will share that with code enforcement. And Mr. Mavers here is responsible for code enforcement as well too. Yes, we can. The city actually has a clean and safe program out there. And note that we just don't go down out and tear somebody's own other property out. We have to go through a process, and it takes a good 2 to 3 months to walk through that. So if you're able to contact Mr. Mavers through his email, it's on the website as well too. Let him know what that address is for Carver. That way we don't take one down that somebody's living in. But we will we will start that process, and it's good to know. We are doing 40 to 50 homes a year that, for whatever reason, weren't able to get fixed up, and we're taking those down. We believe that that is the start of bringing it back. I know that Mr. Mavers is also working on a plan as to how to put that property back out there to get something that'll make the neighborhood come back as well too. So I think the lots that we've acquired through liens and everything, we're trying to put those back out to the public so that everybody can see that. Along with contacting Mr. Mavers directly as well too. You can utilize the Fix-It form online at roswell-nm.gov to inform us of any issues throughout the entire city. Note that Fix-It form can do everything from an issue with your neighbor or an issue on the streets, potholes, street lights. It doesn't really matter what the issue is. You can use that one, and again, you can always use a non-emergency number for the dispatch center as well too, right, Allison? All right. Okay, we're going to start our wrap-up. So let me prompt each panelist to see if anything they would like the public to know. Let's make it quick, and because we're right at the end of our time frame. So, Mr. Mavers?
You know, I just want to let everybody know, if you have any questions, if you have a project coming on, even if you want to do an addition to your house, come and see us in community development. Come and see us early and often. We will walk you through the process. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to develop their property, to grow, to invest, to reinvest, and to make Roswell prosper.
Mr. Nahar.
I just want to tell the public, besides the Fix-It form, all of us are on our city website. My phone number is there, my email is there. Give me a call, send me an email. That's my job, to respond to your complaints. You might not like my answers, but I will respond and look into it.
Yeah. Ms. Herring?
I just want to say that if you're interested in dispatch, please contact us on the city website or my email also. We'd love to have you.
And keep in mind, it's Dispatcher Appreciation Week, so inundate their emails and send them thank yous for what they do. It is a difficult job to keep everything stable within the call volume because of just the issues that you have to deal with. And Councilor Sanchez, thank you for joining us. And we'll talk some more as well too. But I will say, and I regret that I did not say it earlier, Councilor Peterson, George Peterson, is the other elected official for Ward 4. He was not able to be with us, so he sends his condolences for not being able to make it. I do want to thank you so much for joining us for today's public forum. Don't forget to join us next month on May 20th as we discuss street and road improvements. So Mr. Nayar will be back.
I'll be back.
And that's a really good thing. Go ahead and send us any information. I think Mr. Nayar said it best. Every one of us has open doors. Every one of us will take that email. If it is not directly our concern, we send it on. And I know the council does the same thing. The council, as they get information from the constituents, if they don't have the answer, you forward it on to us as well too. Our goal is to be as customer service as we can in order to make sure that you understand. That's why these forums came about anyway as well, is that we want to share this information because, you know, it's tough when we're tackling something really difficult and really hard. When things aren't going exactly right, it's really tough for that stuff. And so we want to take care of that now and beforehand for that. I'm going to state we have the recreation department. Like I said, we're going back 7 days a week. We are now hiring lifeguards. So if you like to swim, we're looking for people that will help keep our swimmers safe. And the zoo is also hiring. We're looking for somebody that looks like a cougar, somebody that looks like a goose. No, we are looking for a lot of individuals for the zoo. We want to make sure that all these jobs are out there. So if we don't have a job that interests you, I would be very surprised based upon the level of services that we have out there. And if you're looking for the more specialized jobs as well too, we will be we'll be having those posted out there as well too. And so just make sure that you keep an eye on our website. Start looking at all of those jobs. But just so you know, any questions that we have not answered during the forum, we will work to respond to in the comments. And I want to just tell you all, have a great night, and thank you again for your time. Thank you all for sitting on the panel.